Hi, I'm Ray Carlton. I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, November 23rd, 1962. By the time I was 13, between 12 and 13 in that area, right after 6th grade is when I first tried marijuana. I liked it. As I got older, I didn't want to keep my horse anymore. I wanted a car, I wanted the girls, I wanted all that kind of stuff. But the main thing that never went away was that desire to use different substances. I was smoking all the time. I was even smoking around my parents as a teenager. I was allowed to. And I started drinking at a pretty young age. And by the time I was 14, I was drinking pretty regular. What happened though was I got in quite a bit of trouble as a teenager. I got arrested several times for marijuana, for alcohol, for illegal consumption. A lot of times late at night. My parents had to come pick me up from jail a couple times. It was kind of a problem for them, and I didn't realize how big of a problem it was for me until I was in about 10th grade when I got kicked out of school because I was too drunk and I couldn't find my class. And it just never stopped. I was always feeling like there was something missing and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and I tried just about everything to fill that void, and there was nothing there, and it continued to progress over the years. I ended up bouncing around, moving from town to town, location to location. I ended up getting married, had a beautiful little girl, and I had several DUIs, and I can remember being shackled together with several other men in Caney County Court and being marched into the courtroom. There was 12 of us, and we were all dressed in orange, and my daughter just, basically, she was 3, she had a meltdown. She just broke down crying, and when I got released, I got in the car and she grabbed me and told me that she didn't want me to drink anymore. And, it really impacted me. It wasn't enough for me to quit though, because I hadn't hit bottom or anything yet. And it was October 29th, 1995, when I decided that I wouldn't use anymore. I didn't use that day, and that was my first day of recovery, really. I had had some recovery very briefly before that and some short periods of sobriety. However, I never committed to anything. I never really got all the way into it and said, okay, this is the way it's going to be, until that day. I think I really hit bottom, because the night before that, I was suicidal. I didn't want to live anymore, and there was a couple things I did to where I put myself in a situation to where I could die, and I had it all planned out. And I was on top of a bridge, and it dawned on me that I have a little girl to take care of. I have a daughter to be responsible to. I need to be her dad. She needs a dad. And that was one of the things that I've always wanted. I wanted to be a dad. I love her, and I still love her, and I want to be her dad. And so I got down off that bridge and I went to my sister and I asked her for help. One of the things that happened though that day was realizing that I'm not just accountable to myself. I'm accountable to other people, and I'm accountable to God. If he's always going to love me unconditionally, then I have to do something different. And I started learning how to be a good person. I became trustworthy. I became dependable. I became consistent, and I found continuity in my life for a change. But I think most of all, I found a way to be a better father, how to be a father. And my life just started to change, and I really liked what I was doing. Things were going very well, and then they got better. I met my wife, my present wife, and my life changed again, but it changed for the better. A year after we were married, or no, not even a year, 6 months after we were married, I experienced a terrible accident at work, and I crushed my leg, and I ended up having surgery on it, and I had 18 screws in it and 2 steel plates, and she was a gift from God, because she just did whatever she had to do to make things happen. And we got through that. We got through that really difficult year, and then a year after that I had that accident, I had to have my leg amputated because it wasn't healing. And so that was another setback. And then, there I was, it's been a long time since I've been able to work, and it really took a toll on my pride and my ego. And so my first thing was, man, I can't wait to get a prosthetic on so I can go back to work. And that's exactly what I did. I went right back into construction work, and I worked myself until I had sores on my legs, and then I had surgeries on that, and I was just always fighting infections and everything else. But I wasn't going to give up, and my false pride kind of took over, and it was just kind of dictating what I did, and I was really butting my head up against the wall. And once again, I found myself struggling with my will and not God's will. And I decided that I needed to do something different. And I talked to my wife, and we figured out that I could go to college for, just $5 a credit. And I said, well, I can't go wrong with that. And, God has a plan. And I was done doing it my way, and I was just going to kind of follow God's plan a little bit. And boy, it turned out to be really a good plan. I started working in the field of addictions as a detox technician for an inpatient program, and I just fell in love with that kind of work, and I realized that's exactly what I wanted to do. And so I started working with people that were struggling with addictions and mental health disorders, and I really enjoyed it. It was another way for me to do service work, and then I realized I can do service work and get paid. And so that became kind of what route I wanted to go down. So I finished my school. I took my test for my certification for my CADC, which is a Certified Alcohol and Drug Counselor. In 2008, I went to work for the Walker Center, and I was working there, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the work I did and what I got to do and all that. And I'd had a couple years where I'd done contract work before that out at the Maximum Security Institute. But being a certified drug and alcohol counselor meant something. And it was really enjoyable. It's hard to describe how much great things happen because of it, to see people's lives change. In 2013, I started coming down here to the Boise Rescue Mission and working with the gentleman in the New Life program and doing assessments and teaching a couple classes, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the staff, I fell in love with the people, I fell in love with the whole program. And I told my wife, and I was really stressed in my job, and I told my wife, and she says, well, maybe God will open a door for you. Well, it wasn't long after that I was asked if I would come to work here. And I said, yes, I would love to. And that's how I came to be here. It was probably the best decision that God made for me when He helped me get that and line that up. It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life, besides family. Being a part of the Boise Rescue Mission for me is about helping people and about seeing lives get better. And it's about people that genuinely care about people working together. And like I can't stress enough that the people that we get to work with are the best people I've ever worked with. The staff is about helping somebody and not expecting anything in return. We're not here because of the money. We're here because we get to help people. And everybody that works here has that compassion, has that empathy. They have that drive and that spiritual relationship where they just want to serve. And that's what I like about the Boise Rescue Mission. It's a great place to serve. And, you know, before I came here, I didn't realize the scope or the depth of what this ministry does. And the more I'm here, the more I see. It's like, wow, we do that? And, you know, you get to see these people's lives change. And, you know, I think this is the only treatment program that can take somebody from point A with nothing and get them into independent living, and then help them with furnishings, help them with clothing, help them with all those items they need to be independent, and then, you know, and the best part of that is the ongoing relationship that you have with that person. That person's always connected to the mission, and it's like they come back and they want to serve. It's altruistic in a lot of ways, because, you know, it just, what goes around stays around, you know, sticks around, and doesn't just come around, it comes back to stay. A lot of our people that have been through our programs become employees and do great things with the mission and help out in different areas, and I think it's pretty cool to see that. I appreciate everybody in the mission, I do. They're just so genuine and kind.